Hi. I just tried to log on to the onto the live video, and yeah, see, it's like yeah, nice. It's the virtual background that I am liking. So she just watch my hand vanish. Yeah, so that's nice. Anyways, had a long day and just finished a call with one of my people whom I actually call my leader. So yeah, quite excited about that, and obviously we are going to speak in the next 10 days or so. It's a very important person. Some of you may know. It's a her, obviously, and one of the things that I wanted to speak about for the last couple of weeks, because especially this particular month, as July came in, a lot of people have started asking me the question that, will I lose my job? What do you see? And then obviously, I am not an astrologer, or I generally predict technologies, what is going to be the technology, what is going to be the future, and I think a lot of people think that because I run hashtag Gyan by Khan, I probably have the Gyan to share. But I can just I'm not speculating, but whatever data I have, I think when people ask, will they lose their jobs? What's going to happen? Because I think July is bringing or taking the levels of anxiety around COVID 19 a little up, and people are getting or probably accepting the horror, because it started with 4 weeks, it went to 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and now the reality is settling in that things are changing quite fast. And unfortunately, yes, this pandemic is not going to go away anywhere. The virus is kind of, the strains are getting harder, or probably, and it is going to be here for some time. We as a race will have to kind of organize our lives around the virus, and that's what is going to probably happen. And again, going back to the title of this live is, will I lose my job? And that's what everybody's worried about. So my answer to that was that if you can do anything that machines can't do, then you won't lose the job. Because if you look at the status quo that we were running with, what happens is a lot of people were there because those jobs were created, but eventually automation is here. I mean, I'm talking pre-COVID discussions and pre-COVID research that I was doing for the points project, is that there were going, I mean, somebody in India, I mean, he shared some confidential stuff which kind of was almost predicting in January that by end of 2020 there would be, I think, around 20 lakhs, that 2 million people who would have salaries of who would have had salaries of 1 million to 5 million rupees, and who would have 10 plus years of experience, will be unemployed. And now this is, I'm talking, this was the this was the prediction in January. So 2 million people having more than 10 plus years of verified experience, managerial plus, who have salaries of 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs, which was 1 million rupees to 5 million rupees, they were expected to be unemployed by the end of 2020, right? Now this is pre-COVID. I think that in COVID world you will have to multiply that by 3 times or sometimes, maybe more than that. What I'm more worried about is, and again, I don't want to demotivate anyone, but we have to be practical. Uh, you know, every job, every direct job, actually, oh, right, okay. So every job actually supports 3 to 5 indirect jobs. So that's huge. I posted something. I was looking at the historical labor market, right? So the way things are moving, across the world. So 14% of the work hours, I think 14% of the work hours at a global level have gone down. Now those work hours translate into, I don't know, couple of 100 million jobs. Now if that trend continues, then it is expected that 14%, if that continues to another, maybe even the levels of 11%, then there is a report, you'll have to google it, and it's there, right, by the statisticians of the world. So those percentages actually predict that in the next 6 months you will have 800 million jobs which will not be there. Now, if 800 million jobs are not going to be there, and if you multiply that by 3, then that is almost 2 plus billion people who will not have work. That's huge. Now, if you look at the entire world's population, it's 7.4, 7.3, whatever billion people. Out of them, if you think that 50% of those people actually work, exclude the children and the retired people, then you're looking at 3.5 million, people who actually work to generate income, right? To generate income. Now, if you're looking at 2 plus billion, and if those numbers are even the worst case scenario, whatever it is, you're expecting 40% of the world's workforce to be out of work by the end of this year or by mid of next year. That's a horrible situation. That's worse than both the world wars combined. So that's, no, I mean, maybe both the world wars and couple of extra world wars, you add all of those, say 5 world wars, and if you look at 5 world wars and that impact what it had on this human race, when 2 plus 2.5 billion people will be out of work, that's a horrible situation to be in. Yeah, but I mean, those are just numbers. Best case scenario, 1 billion people would be unemployed. Having 1 billion people unemployed on this planet, that is also not a great sort of situation. So if I'm looking at 50%, so my whole point is that the answer that I'm giving to the people who are all asking me, will they lose their jobs? Simple answer is, find something that the machines can't do, because automation was already going to hurt 30% of the jobs anyways. So yeah, that's something. And again, the reason why I'm talking about this is because a lot of people have been asking those questions in this month. So yeah, so that's the sad part. The good part is this, that this entire black swan event, as a lot of my friends call it, it actually makes the playing field quite equitable in some shape or form. That all these hierarchies that we had, and all these set paths that we had to get to some point where you actually think, okay, I am at this level now, then I need to, in so many years I'll be at this level, and then from that level. So all this organizational hierarchy that we had, or all those organizational hierarchy will actually go away. It's there is a opportunity to change that, and that's why I talk about distributed systems and distributed economy and open source economy. And it's not going to happen next week or next month or next year, but what I'm talking about is, 20 years from now, that's what is going to be different. And a simple example, like 30 years from now, what really decided everything in this world was crude. 1990s Gulf War, all of that stuff happened. So oil was the single most important part driving the entire world. The way I say it, it was the oil was the one thing that was uniting and dividing the world and driving the world at that point of time. That was 30 years ago. 20 years ago, real estate was driving a lot of things. It was very important. 2010, where you had your offices, where were you based, how much money you raised, and all that stuff. So real estate was driving a lot of our economy. Which cities? Tokyo was the most expensive city, Moscow was the number 2, number 3, whatever it is, New York. So all of that was 2020, right? So that's 20 years. So we have spoken about 30 years, 20 years. Fast forward 10 more years. So I was talking about 2000s, right? So that was real estate was driving everything. Now you fast forward 10 more years. Actually, we didn't go to 10 years. To 2008, 2009, the subprime thing happened. So all that real estate in the 2000s that was driving the entire world, and we were leveraging and hedging and double hedging, all that absolutely collapsed in the next 10 years, right? So 2009, 2008, the crisis happened. So oil, then real estate. The next thing, technology, data, consumer, users. Who has how many users? It doesn't matter if you're making money or not making money. What was more important in the next 10 years to this point was how many users has you had, and a lot of models were tried, and then I think the most reliable and the most relevant model that we have right now is the subscription model. So is that subscription economy. What's going to be the next 10 years? Don't know, because even the subscription economy is going to be it's going to be hampered by all of this what we have, because consumer spending will go down. So the next thing that we need to think about, and I'm probably going to stop this here because I want to have a follow-up session about this. I took a couple of steps back and started thinking, what are the top 10 economies that drove the creation of most jobs? And that's what I'm going to cover in the next live session, probably in a couple of days. You will be shocked. You will be absolutely shocked with what I came across. The top 10 industries driving the maximum jobs, and it's the part of the research that I'm doing, but I'll continue to extract some time across my schedule. And again, this is my independent research. Obviously I'm doing some more research around Africa and stuff for a couple of friends and a couple of companies, but yeah, anyways, it was good talking to you guys. I hope you gained something about it. I hope it was worthy of your time. If it was not, I'm sorry to waste your time. But anyways, my name is Khan. I don't have all the answers, but I'll keep asking the questions to you, to them, and to myself. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and we will connect again soon. You like the background? Cheers. Bye.